It was a momentous occasion, the first time my wife Samantha had spoken in such a hushed tone that it was almost imperceptible. Her face had flushed a deep crimson, catching me off guard. I found myself utterly captivated by her newfound bashfulness. But it wasn't always this way between us. I am Jack Andrews, just your typical guy, employee at a medical device company. Once upon a time, I harbored dreams and aspirations, but alas, I lacked the necessary talent to chase them. Consequently, I relinquished those dreams. My parents had high hopes for me, encouraging me to forge my own path, which led me to where I am today. Now, I exist without dreams or ambitions, feeling hollow and aimless. I can't help but think about how I can't give my parents grandchildren, as I remain a bachelor with no girlfriend. It pains me, but I'm left with no alternative. Glancing at the calendar, I realized that I had to return home next week. My parents lived nearby, just a short train ride away. It shouldn't have been a big deal, but their recent serious phone call suggested otherwise. They were typically laid back and rarely asked me to visit, so whatever was going on must have been significant. Finally, the day arrived, and I found myself back in my childhood home. My parents ran a diner on the first floor with their living quarters above. I used to boast about taking over the place as a child, but I soon realized my lack of culinary talent. This was why I'd hesitated to return home, but something was amiss. The diner, which was usually open every day except Thursdays, was closed, and the sign was not displayed. Had they closed for the day? I called out, "I'm home, Mom, Dad," and pushed open the diner's door. There they were, looking much thinner and paler than I remembered. I rushed over to them and inquired about their condition. They explained their predicament with bowed heads. A family restaurant had recently opened nearby, causing a steady decline in our customer base. My parents had tried their best to recover, but the customers continued to dwindle. Dad had investigated the sudden drop in patrons and uncovered anonymous rumors circulating about our restaurant. People claimed to have spotted cockroaches and labeled the diner as dirty due to its age. These strange rumors spread like wildfire, and there was seemingly no way to halt the slander. Despite my parents' relentless efforts, sales plummeted, and they found themselves drowning in debt. Even if they closed the diner, the debt loomed ominously. In the worst-case scenario, they might have to sell our cherished family home. My father's eyes welled with tears of frustration, his voice trembling with despair. It was a side of him I had never witnessed before, and I couldn't help but ask if there was any way to alleviate the debt. With a heavy heart, Dad muttered, "The debt stands at $80,000. He seemed defeated, as though he had exhausted all possible avenues for a solution. Desperation gripped me, and I turned to Mom, suggesting, "Can't you reach out to your friends for assistance?" She paused briefly before finally breaking the silence. "Well, I did talk to them," Mom began, her hesitation palpable. "Actually, one of my friends mentioned she might be able to help, but there's a condition." I leaned in eagerly, ready to hear the terms. If there was a chance of getting assistance, I was open to considering any conditions. However, Mom seemed reluctant to continue, keeping her head down. Encouraged by Dad, she finally unveiled the proposed condition. She suggested marriage to her daughter, Mom revealed, causing me to recoil in surprise. "You remember I used to go to that flower arrangement class, right? That's where I met her. Her husband is the CEO of a leading company, and their daughter Samantha apparently hasn't found a partner, even though she wants to get married." My friend mentioned that Samantha is shy and hasn't been able to find a partner. According to her, if I marry Samantha and become part of their family, she'd be willing to help us out. Dad interjected, concerned about my future. "Jack, you have the right to choose your own partner. I don't want you to make this decision just because of our debts." But I was resolute. "No, I'll take the deal," I reassured my worried mother. I couldn't bear to witness the family business I had grown up with crumble, and I knew I couldn't take over the business myself. If getting married was the solution to save it, I was willing to do it. Besides, Samantha was a CEO's daughter, a rare opportunity for an ordinary guy like me to have such a connection. There were few downsides for me, so I decided to proceed. However, when I met Samantha in person, I couldn't help but have second thoughts. The day I met her, the thought that ran through my mind was, "I see why she's not finding a husband. She must be shy indeed." I reflected on our meeting. Samantha's gaze often wandered away as if she couldn't look directly at me. On the other hand, I couldn't take my eyes off her. To be more accurate, I couldn't help but notice her prominent double chin, which gave her the appearance of lacking a neck. It wasn't just her neck, she had no waistline to speak of. Most women have some curves, even if they're of average size, but Samantha had none. If I were to make a comparison, she reminded me of a certain blue, boxy-shaped robot from the future. I don't like to criticize people's appearances, but I couldn't deny that her physical attributes made a strong impression. If someone were to ask me if I wanted to marry her based on looks alone, I would have said no without hesitation. However, given my current situation, I didn't feel I had the right to be picky. Nice to meet you, I'm Samantha, she greeted me shyly. I'm Jack. Pleasure to meet you, I responded, trying to be polite. We discussed the situation further and officially became engaged a month later. Marriage was a non-negotiable condition for repaying the debt. Although Samantha suggested that we didn't force ourselves to live like a typical married couple but find our own way to come together, we ended up sharing a bedroom but not a bed. The so-called wedding night hadn't taken place yet. Given Samantha's physique, sharing a bed would indeed be a tight squeeze. Both of us were accustomed to living alone, so it felt a bit awkward at first. Samantha had always aspired to be a typical wife and made an effort. Good morning. I tried making breakfast, and if you like, please, she said, attempting to kickstart our day on a positive note. Just before I left for work, Samantha, who had risen early, had a delightful breakfast ready. It was quite an impressive spread: chicken soup, fish, and an omelette, a truly hearty meal. The enticing aroma of the food tantalized my nostrils and stirred my empty stomach. This is delicious, I remarked between bites. Even though I had once aspired to be a chef, I had a discerning palate for food. I can say with confidence that Samantha's soup is truly delectable. It's not just the soup. The seasoning on the fish is just right, and the omelette, from its color to its shape and taste, is perfect. The quality is on par with any restaurant. This is amazing. It must have been tough to prepare breakfast of this caliber. As I relished my meal, Samantha's face gradually turned red. She stammered, I'm glad. Be confident. I'm a diner owner's son, after all, Samantha. You're a great cook. With that, I finished my meal, not hiding my genuine opinion. Samantha shyly hid her face behind the tray she was holding and confessed, Well, I've never served my homemade food to anyone before. I was happy though, and seeing Samantha genuinely happy was endearing. They say not to judge a book by its cover, and that certainly held true for Samantha. Beyond her appearance, she had a playful and charming personality. She was so domestically inclined that one could easily forget she was a CEO's daughter. She handled household chores almost flawlessly except for laundry. The other day she accidentally turned all my shirts blue while struggling to sort them by color. I'm sorry, they turned completely blue, haven't they? She apologized, a mistake that would depress me if I had made it, but somehow became forgivable when Samantha did it, I reassured her. Slowly but surely, I fell in love with Samantha. At first, I wasn't certain how things would turn out, but by the time we had been living together for 6 months, we had grown closer. One day, Samantha came home in tears after a doctor's appointment. Something had arisen during her health checkup, and I could guess what it was. Don't cry so much, I comforted her. I don't necessarily expect us to have children, but with my current figure, you won't be able to hold me. Samantha's tears welled up in her eyes as I struggled to express my emotions. I wanted Samantha to understand that I was more than willing to love her just as she was. However, Samantha had made up her mind. She gazed at me determinedly and said, I decided on going on a diet. I want to live a long life and I want children. I want to walk proudly by your side, Jack. Her determination touched me deeply, and she blushed as she declared her intentions. Samantha embarked on her diet, and I decided to join her in the effort. After all, I had started to worry about my own waistline. I suppose I had put on some happy weight because Samantha's cooking was just too delicious. We began jogging together before work and took evening walks. But as expected, it wasn't easy to keep up. Being dedicated to your diet so that you can fit into that dress can make the journey easier. Samantha pondered this idea thoughtfully. That might be a great idea. I've never worn a dress before. With Samantha on board, we decided to take our commitment to a healthier lifestyle even further. We agreed to separate our bedrooms because Samantha had expressed a desire to do stretches and yoga at night, and she felt self-conscious about it when someone was watching. If I'm being watched, it's embarrassing, she explained. If I ever make a request like that, will you fulfill it? I readily agreed to her request. Samantha's dedication and commitment to her diet were truly inspiring, and I was more than willing to support her in any way I could. 6 months later, our efforts had paid off. By the time we had been married for a year, Samantha had transformed into a remarkably beautiful woman. Her weight had dropped significantly, and her original figure with well-defined curves had re-emerged. Samantha now had a stunning waistline and she radiated confidence and beauty. One day, Samantha came running to me, her face beaming with joy. Jack, I'm going to try on that dress today. Really? I responded in excitement. I'm going to change in the bedroom. Wait for me here, Samantha said as she headed to her bedroom. I couldn't help but reflect on the past year. It was the first time we were going to share a bedroom since her weight loss. I had almost forgotten what her bedroom looked like since Samantha had always been quite strict about keeping me out of it. Samantha's invitation filled me with a sense of anticipation. As I entered her bedroom, I was taken aback by her beauty. There she stood, wearing the red dress I had bought for her, blushing yet graceful. She looked like a goddess. This is incredible, I murmured, my eyes fixed on her. You look stunning, Samantha. Samantha blushed even more and fidgeted adorably. Do I look weird? Not at all, I assured her. You're beyond beautiful, Samantha, really truly. Samantha chuckled happily. Oh, stop it, but I'm flattered. I couldn't help but express my concern. I mean, what if some strange guy comes over when you look like this? Samantha's smile grew warmer. In that case, you'll protect me, won't you? I chuckled in response. I had made a silent vow to protect Samantha at all costs. Gently, I closed the bedroom door behind me. As time continued to pass, we embarked on a new journey together. I made a life-changing decision. I took over my dad's restaurant, paying off the debt, and quitting my previous job had been challenging, but reviving a restaurant with a damaged reputation was an even greater task. However, with dedication, observing this scene, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of contentment. At that moment, I was truly happy. I had my loving wife, my adorable son, and the privilege of living with them both in the restaurant I had always dreamed of running. Samantha and I had initially married out of necessity due to the debt, and it might not have been considered an ideal match by some. However, from the depths of my heart, I could sincerely say, I'm glad I married you. As I reflected on our journey, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the life we had built together. Despite the odds, we have found happiness in the most unexpected of places. Our story was a testament to the power of determination, love, and the pursuit of one's dreams. And with that, our journey continued, filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future.